When we say your life is not your life, we begin with the undeniable truth of interdependence, the idea that no one lives, grows, or thrives in isolation. While modern culture often champions independence and self-made success, the reality is that every individual is born into a web of relationships, systems, and support that make life possible. From your very first breath, you were dependent. Someone held you, fed you, clothed you, taught you words, values, emotions. That pattern doesn't end with childhood, it just becomes more invisible. The food you eat comes from farmers you've never met. The roads you drive on were built by people you'll never know. The ideas you believe in, the language you speak, even the dreams you chase, all shaped by countless others who came before you. Interdependence isn't weakness, it's a profound strength of humanity. It's what allows for cooperation, innovation, and community. Think about the phone in your hand. Dozens of countries, technologies, laborers, and thinkers had to work together to make it real. No single person could have created it from scratch. The same is true for life. You are not an island. Your mental health, your confidence, your sense of identity, these are often mirrored and molded by the people around you. Relationships matter. Community matters. And when we forget that when we isolate ourselves in the illusion of total autonomy, we lose not only support but also a piece of what makes us fully human. But interdependence is more than just practical or emotional support. It carries moral weight. If others have poured into you, taught you, helped you, loved you, then your life holds responsibility. You become part of the system that holds others up. Your actions affect others' well-being, just as theirs affect yours. In that way, your life is not simply yours to live however you choose, it is also a contribution to the larger human story. You don't exist in a vacuum. You exist in a shared world, and everything you do, every act of kindness or cruelty, every step forward or backward has ripple effect. Recognizing interdependence isn't about guilt, it's about gratitude and accountability. When you realize how many people and forces have made your life possible, you begin to walk through the world with greater humility. You see others not as competitors but as collaborators. You become less focused on what can I get, and more focused on what can I give. So know, your life is not just your life. It is a thread in a vast human fabric. And when you pull on your thread, it moves the entire tapestry. To live well is not to live alone, but to live connected, knowing that we rise and fall together. When we reflect on the idea that your life is not your life, one of the most profound realizations is that much of what we experience, our freedoms, opportunities, and comforts, is built on the sacrifices of others. Your life is, in part, an inheritance not just of wealth or genetics, but of effort, struggle, and silent perseverance passed down through generations. Think of your ancestors, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, many of whom you may never have known. Their lives were often filled with labor, war, displacement, poverty, or oppression. Yet through that hardship they endured. They made choices that cost them dearly but gave you something in return. A better country, a better education, a safer home, more rights than they had. The hours your parents or guardians worked, often without complaint, those were sacrifices. The dreams they gave up to put food on the table or keep a roof over your head, those too were sacrifices. The emotional burdens they carried, the traumas they tried to shield you from, the cultural identity they protected or passed on, all of that was a gift you didn't ask for, but still received. And it's not just personal or familial. On a broader scale, your life is shaped by the sacrifice of people you'll never meet. Civil rights leaders who marched so you could vote freely, women and men who fought wars, lobbied for justice, or risked their lives for freedom of speech, religion, and education. Activists who were arrested, artists who challenged the system, whistleblowers who told the truth. They paid a price so the world could shift, even slightly, in your favor. This doesn't mean your life is one of guilt or constant repayment. It means your life is one of acknowledgement and responsibility. To live as if you owe nothing to the past is to dishonor those who gave without seeing the full fruit of their labor. They planted trees whose shade you now sit under. Recognizing inherited sacrifice reframes how you think about entitlement, gratitude, and purpose. You didn't start from zero. Even your ability to dream big, to pursue personal fulfillment, stands on the shoulders of those who made more fundamental survival possible. So, what do you do with this knowledge? You live intentionally. You live in a way that adds value, not just extracts it. You preserve what's been passed down, improve it, and hand it forward. You become part of the lineage of sacrifice, not just receiving it, but continuing it for those who come after you. Because your life, while uniquely yours to live, is not yours alone. It is a continuation of countless sacrifices, silent, unseen, and often unthanked, made in the hope that someone like you might one day stand taller, reach further, and do better. That someone is you. And now it's your turn, in a world that constantly tells us to find your truth, live your dream, and do what makes you happy. It's easy to believe that life is entirely personal. But there comes a moment, sometimes through crisis, sometimes through quiet reflection, when you realize your life is not only about you. It never was. Your life is not your life, because it exists within a much greater context. You are part of a story that spans generations, communities, and causes. And within that story lies the concept of shared purpose, the understanding that fulfillment is not found in isolation, but in connection, not just in what you build for yourself, but in what you build for others. Shared purpose means aligning your life with something larger than your individual desires. It's the teacher who stays late to help a struggling student. It's the activist who speaks up for the voiceless. It's the parent who gives up comfort for the next generation's future. Their lives may be personal, but their meaning is collective. When you live with shared purpose, your choices shift. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" you begin to ask, "What do we need?" You begin to see that your talents, time, and experiences are not just gifts, they are tools. And tools are meant to be used, not simply admired. This doesn't mean you must abandon your passions or personal goals. Quite the opposite. Shared purpose often enhances them. When you tie your individual journey to something that uplifts others, whether that's teaching, creating, healing, protecting, or serving, your life gains depth. Success feels richer, struggles feel more meaningful, even pain can become part of a redemptive process. Shared purpose also acts as a compass when life gets hard. When you live only for yourself, it's easy to feel lost when things fall apart. But when you live for a mission, for people, for impact, you have an anchor. You can keep moving because you're not just moving for you, you're moving for us, and in the age of disconnection, shared purpose is what builds community. When people come together not just to consume, but to contribute, to dream, work, and sacrifice for a common good, something powerful happens. Empathy grows, walls break down, hope multiplies. Your life, then, is a thread in a much larger fabric. You don't need to be the whole picture, you just need to be part of it, a strong, vibrant part. So don't spend your life merely chasing personal pleasure or achievement. Ask yourself, who else benefits from my existence? What legacy do I want to leave? How can my life make someone else's lighter? Because your life is not just yours to own, it's yours to offer. And when you live that way, purpose is no longer something you search for. It's something you become. One of the most humbling and awe-inspiring truths about life is this: you are influencing people right now, even if you don't know it. Every word you speak, every action you take, every silence you hold, they ripple outward. Often quietly, often invisibly, but they ripple nonetheless. When we say your life is not your life, we mean that it does not exist in a vacuum. It's constantly intersecting with other lives, shaping outcomes you may never witness. You influence your family, your friends, your co-workers not just through big moments, but through tiny, repeated choices, how you listen, how you respond to conflict, how you show up. This unseen influence is powerful precisely because it's subtle. You may never know the impact of a kind word you said to a stranger who was thinking of giving up. You may never see the full reach of a courageous decision you made that inspired someone else to speak out. Influence isn't always direct. Sometimes it's passed along like a torch in the dark, passed from one hand to another until it lights up a life far from yours. Likewise, we are all shaped by invisible hands, teachers who believed in us, authors we never met, historical figures who stood up so we could stand where we are today. Even culture itself, our language, values, and beliefs was handed to us, not created in isolation. We are constantly receiving influence and constantly giving it, whether we intend to or not. There's a profound responsibility in this, because it means that how you live matters not just to you, but to people watching you quietly, people modeling their behavior after you, people interpreting your silence as agreement or your courage as permission. Whether you are a leader in title or not, you are a leader in impact. This truth should not make you afraid, it should make you aware, aware that every life, including yours, is more than a personal journey. It is a force for healing or for harm, for building up or tearing down, for indifference or transformation. In a world obsessed with visibility, likes, follows, fame, we forget that some of the most powerful influence happens without applause. In homes, hallways, brief conversations, late night decisions. The question is not, am I an influencer? The real question is, what kind of influence am I having, whether I see it or not? To live as if your life is only your own is to underestimate your reach. To live with intention, knowing that you're part of an unseen chain of cause and effect that is how lives are changed. So choose your influence wisely, because even if your name is forgotten, your impact will not be. When we say your life is not your life, we're not just speaking philosophically, we're making a moral claim that the way you live your life has consequences for others and that you are responsible for those consequences. This is the essence of moral responsibility. The idea that because your actions, decisions, and even inactions affect other people, you carry a duty not only to yourself, but to your community, your society, and future generations. The truth is, no one exists in isolation. Every time you choose to act or not act, you influence the world around you. When you choose to speak up or stay silent, when you help or withhold help, when you tell the truth or turn away from it. These choices echo outward. Responsibility in this sense is not about blame, it's about awareness. It's about recognizing that your life is part of a larger moral ecosystem, one in which others are depending on you, whether they say it aloud or not. And once you see that, you can no longer live only for personal convenience or comfort. Consider the privileges you might hold: education, safety, freedom, voice. These were not randomly distributed. Many of them are the results of structural systems, historical struggles, or the sacrifices of others. If you benefit from these things, then you are in a position of moral obligation to use them not just for yourself, but to uplift others who have not been given the same. We often ask, what am I allowed to do? But moral responsibility invites a deeper question. What is the right thing to do? It's not about living a perfect life, no one can. It's about living a conscious life, a life that asks not just what do I want, but what do others need from me? And what kind of world am I helping to create? This includes how you treat people, how you consume, how you vote, how you speak. It includes how you handle power, privilege, knowledge, and pain. Because in every moment, you are shaping the moral climate around you, whether you acknowledge it or not. And here's the transformative truth. Moral responsibility doesn't restrict your life, it enriches it. When you live with integrity, when you give more than you take, when you stand for something that helps others, your life becomes meaningful. You stop drifting. You start living with direction. So know, your life is not just your own. It belongs in part to the people who depend on your courage, to the voiceless who need your voice, to the future that will be shaped by what you choose now. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's an honor. It means your life matters because it doesn't end with you.